let's go ahead and start with dividing polynomials. So we're going to go ahead and just recall dividing numbers. So let's say you want to divide 121 by 5. Then what you do is you think, okay, 5 doesn't go into 1 any times, but 5 does go into 12, and it goes into it twice. And then you're going to go ahead and multiply the 5 and the 2, which gives you 10. Then you subtract here. So 12 minus 10 is 2. And then you're going to bring down the 1. So how many times does 5 go into 21? 4. And then you're going to multiply the 4 times the 5. You get 20. Subtract. You get 1, which is your remainder. And you could rewrite this as 24 1/5. Okay, so remainder is on the top here, and then your denominator is whatever you were dividing by. Alright, so we're going to do the same process, very similar, when we're dividing polynomials. So let's go ahead and start. So we're going to place 2x squared minus x minus 10 inside here, and then on the outside we're going to place x plus 2. So what you want to do is you want to think of what do you need to multiply x to get 2x squared. So first of all, you need to multiply it times a 2, and then you need to multiply it times an x. Okay, then you're going to go ahead and multiply the 2x times x would give you 2x squared, and then the 2x times the 2 would give you plus 4x. And then remember, you're subtracting, right? So you're subtracting this. So you're going to go ahead and distribute that negative. I like to put it positive and then go ahead and write negative, negative. So these will cancel out. And then down here you get 5x. You bring down the negative 10. And then over here, what do you need to multiply x to get negative 5x? And that would be, you need to multiply it by negative 5. So you're going to do negative 5 times x, which would be negative 5x, and negative 5 times 2, which would be negative 10. And then remember, you're subtracting. So I like to do distribute it, so put plus, and then when I distribute that negative into them, it turns them into positives. So these cancel, and then these cancel, so your remainder is 0, and the top would just be your answer. Alright, so let's try one more, or a couple more. So let's go ahead and do this one. 3x squared plus 7x minus 6, x plus 3. And again, do the same thing. So what do you need to multiply x to get 3x squared? That's going to be 3x. And then you're going to go ahead and multiply the 3x times your x plus 3. You could also do that on the side if you wanted to. So 3x squared plus 9x. And then you write that down here. And then remember, you're subtracting, so put parentheses around this and subtract it, and then distribute it. And then go ahead and the first one will always cancel out, and then 7x minus 9x is negative 2x. Bring down the negative 6. Alright, and then what do you need to multiply x to get negative 2x? So you need to multiply it times a negative 2. Okay, and then again, you could do that on the side if you want to. And then you're going to write that down there. And then you go ahead and subtract it. Notice they're the same thing, you're subtracting them, so they're going to go ahead and cancel out. And so your answer would just be the top. Now, in both of these cases, our remainder happened to be 0, but that's not always going to be the case. Alright, here's the next example. So we have 6x squared plus there's no x there, so we're going to go ahead and put a placeholder, so plus 0x plus 12, and then we're dividing it by 3x minus 6. So always, if you're missing a letter, go ahead and put a placeholder. All right, so what do I need to multiply 6x or 3x to get 6x? I need to multiply it times 2x. Remember, you could do that on the side. So 2x times 3x minus 6. Go ahead and distribute 6x squared minus 12x. Okay, so that's going to be 6x squared minus 12x. And then you're going to go ahead and subtract. And then go ahead and these cancel out. And then you bring down the 12x. And then you add 12. Oops, added 2 x's there. Alright, so what do you need to multiply 3x to get 12x? Well, you need to multiply it times 4. So you're going to do 4 times 3x minus 6. So that's going to give you 12x minus 24. And then you go ahead and subtract. These cancel out. And then you're going to get 12 plus 24, which is 36. And that would be your remainder. So this is the first time we've gotten a remainder, so I'll show you how to do that. So remember, you place it over whatever you're dividing by. So it's going to be 20x plus 4, and then your remainder over 3x minus 6. And you could put a plus sign in between them. And that would be your answer. All right, so we need to talk about what happens when you're just dividing by something in the form x minus 2. We actually call that synthetic division, so it's a shortcut that we have. So I'm going to show you how to set that up. Basically, we just use the coefficients there. So you're going to do 2, negative 1, negative 13, and then 1. Make sure you have all your numbers. So if you have any variables that are missing, you put placeholders. And then over here in the front, you're just going to write, you set this equal to 0 and solve. So x equals 3, and that goes right here. All right, and then what you do is you bring down the 2, and then you multiply across. So 3 times 2, that would give you 6. And then you add down. So negative 1 plus 6 is 5. And then again, diagonally, you're going to multiply. So 3 times 5, that would be 15. And then you add down 2. You multiply diagonally. 3 times 2 is 6. And then you add 7. And this last one would always be your remainder. And then this is going to be your constant, the x, and then the x squared. So you could rewrite this. You just divided it. It's 2x squared plus 5x plus 2, and then plus 7 over what you were dividing by, x minus 3. All right, let's try one more. These take a while. They are quicker, but they take a while for you to realize what's happening. All right, so here's this one. So 1, negative 2, negative 11. Notice we're missing the x, so we need to put a 0 as a placeholder. 34, and then set this equal to 0. So x would be equal to negative 2. All right, so you're going to bring down that 1. You're going to multiply across, so negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. Add down, and then multiply across. So negative 2 times negative 4 is 8. And then add down. So that's going to give you 3, negative 3. Multiply across, so negative 2 times negative 3. That's 6. Add down. Negative 12. And then subtract those. 22. So again, this is your remainder. The first one is your constant, x. X squared, x to the third. So you're going to rewrite this as x to the third minus 4x squared minus 3x plus 6 plus 22 over x plus 2, and that would be your answer. So again, diagonally, you're multiplying, and then going up and down, you're adding.